Hello everyone, my name is Camila and today I'm going to be doing the revision for the Prova Bimestral. We're going to cover each topic besides suffixes and participle clauses because I've already covered that in my previous video. Okay, so I'm just going to jump right into it. The collocations from the text, the case of the disappearing man. This is going to be maybe a tricky exercise if you don't remember the collocations already. So I'm going to guide you guys through it. So, fill the gaps in the sentences with the proper collocation. 1. The increasing number of people, Alzheimer's disease, raises the question of their care at home. So, when we're talking about disease and physical pain or distress, we're going to be using suffering from or suffer from. And this is a keyword. If you remember, just look for sickness and pain. It's probably going to be suffering from. Okay, 2. The woman had of what happened after she crashed her car into the light post. Again, if you don't remember the collocations, this is going to be tricky, but the answer is no recollection. Recollection basically means remember something or an event. So when you say, I have no recollection of what happened, I'm just saying that I don't remember it. 3. The remains of the girl's teddy bear could be easily on the kitchen floor. So here, the remains of the girl's teddy bear could be easily, if you look at the context, it's something related to seen, and if you know the collocations, it's going to be spotted. Spot is, again, just see something that you were looking for or was hard to find. 4. He left the building in a hurry after was raised. This, if you look at the context and this expression, you probably already figured is the alarm. We're going to be using the alarm with things like was raised, sound the alarm, things like that. We're going to take a deeper look into that in the next exercise, so I'm not going to dwell on it. 5. The wine glass as it hit the floor. If you know the collocations, this is an easy one. The wine glass shattered. Shattered basically means broken into many pieces, and is commonly associated with, glass. But it can also be like, oh, you shattered my heart, like you broke my heart, 6. Your argument that everyone understands the issue. This is a tricky one. I'm not sure you're going to find a sentence that hard in the test because it's going to be presumes. When you presume something, you assume that it's true, but you don't have proof. So here, your argument presumes that everyone understands the issue. So this person's argument is assuming that everyone already knows what he's talking about, 7. There was of the missing boy. The keyword here is missing. And if you look at the collocations, the one that best fits is no trace. When something leaves no trace, you're just saying that it didn't leave anything behind for you to, pinpoint where that thing is. So when there's no trace of the missing boy, you're just saying that he didn't leave any clues behind for you to find him or who took him. 8. New evidence in this case has recently. When we're talking about new evidence, this is a common expression, come to light. So what they're just saying here is that they found new evidence, basically. 9. We have a slight problem with the temperature control, but everything's fine. When we use sentences like this, where everything's fine or a situation is the same, besides the statement that we've just covered, we're going to be using otherwise. 10. The police confirmed that an inquiry has been into the new accident. So, here, this is a word, I'm just going to say it's launched. When we say something was launched, maybe you think about, the rocket, like a rocket was launched into space, which is also correct. But here we're talking about an inquiry has been set in motion, and or just start, Page 81, collocations. This is the exact exercise you're going to have in your book, but I decided to put it here since I think it's a really good exercise for you to, really get the hang of those collocations and when you're going to use them. Shift. This is work related mostly, so if you look here at the gray boxes, you can already tell if you read all of them that it's going to be day, night, early, late, split, 10-hour. You can use shift with all of these expressions. So just, I'm working the night shift, I'm working the day shift, I have an early shift, late shift, 10-hour shift. It's just, I think you get the idea. Okay, so next we have suffer from. As I've already said in the previous slide, when we're saying suffering from, it's usually gonna be followed by a sickness or a situation where the person is in distress. So if you look here, it's just gonna be asthma, migraines, amnesia, hay fever. Presumed. I believe I already covered that in the previous slide, but when you presume something, you're just assuming that is true based on probability. You can kind of tell that it's gonna be rightly because you can presume rightly, wrongly. Oh, he was presumed dead is also a possibility, and presumed innocent until proven guilty is also a common phrase. Okay, so when we look at search, we can just see that it makes a lot more sense when we're talking about, the first box. And you can say, oh, he searched but to no avail. He just couldn't find his phone. This is a way they can use search. The alarm. This one, I've already said, but it has a few expressions that you can just look and pretty much tell you're going to be using the alarm. Since, the alarm was raised, someone sounded the alarm was set off, he triggered the alarm when he came in to rob the store. It's an example of a sentence. And again, here you have, it's obvious, but launch an investigation, be the subject of an investigation, pursue an investigation, and lead the investigation. It's all ways that you can use this collocation. Idioms and relaxing. Fill the gaps in the sentences with the idioms in the boxes. So, switch off, take your mind off something, have a breather, unwind, take time out from, let your hair down. 1. Joanne wishes she could work to focus on her 3-year-old toddler and finish her PhD dissertation. So again, if you look at the context, she needs a break from work so that she can focus on her toddler and her dissertation. And looking at the boxes, you can take time out from something, so take time out from work. 2. Come on, Jim, it's a party, and go a little wild. When you use wild in a sentence like these, and we're talking about relaxing, it's probably gonna be let your hair down, as it is here. Because let your hair down basically means stop being tense and guarded. So just, to relax and go a little wild. 3. I could tell my students were starting to during my class, so I brought out the projector and started using old cartoons to illustrate my points. So this teacher realized that her students were not paying attention to her class, so she took a different strategy. And if you look at the box, and switch off when we're talking about relaxing just means just stop focusing on something, and this is why we're going to use it in the phrase. You can also say that I was talking to my boyfriend and I realized he had just switched off, which just meant that he just zoned out, stopped paying attention to what you're saying. 4. Exercising will your problems and give you time to decompress. If you look at the context, you can just, tell that this person wants to stop worrying about her problems and just, chill, decompress. And if you look at the words in the box, since she doesn't want to focus on her problems anymore, we're gonna be using take your mind off, which just means to stop thinking about it for a moment. 5. As soon as it's back to work. Looking at the context, you can see that as soon as we stop doing this, we're gonna get back to work. So probably they're having a break, and looking at the box, you can already tell it's have a breather. So as soon as we have a breather, it's back to work. 6. He finds it hard to after a busy day of work. And the reason we're going to be using unwind is because he's finding hard to relax after a busy day of work. Next up we have match the idioms with their definitions. 1. To while away. 2. To chill out. 3. To burn the candle at both ends. 4. To do something all hours. 5. To burn the midnight oil. 6. To hang out. To spend a lot of time in a place with someone. And if you look at the idioms, you probably already know that to hang out, it's just, stay together and spend time with someone. So it's going to be the first one, 6. Next, to spend time in a relaxed way because you have nothing to do or are waiting for something else to happen. This is to while away. Next, to do something until very late. I find this next one kind of tricky, but to do something until very late. You really need to watch out for to burn the candle at both ends, to do something all hours, and to burn the midnight oil because they're very similar. But when you do something all hours, means you do something until it's very late. And it's just really just, work very hard for a lot of time. And the reason why it's not to burn the candle at both ends is because to burn the candle at both ends is the next one, which is to work or do other things from early in the morning until late at night and get very little of rest. Next, to work late into the night to burn the midnight oil. So to burn the midnight oil, in Portuguese, it would just be, virar à noite. Okay, the last one you already know if you were paying attention, but to chill out is just, relax and relax completely or not allow things to upset you. When you say a person's very chill, it usually means they don't get upset over nothing. Next, vocabulary from the text, free to make mistakes. Use the vocabulary from the text to complete the sentences below. You may need to adapt it to fit the context. It's a good idea to get children to cook for themselves from an early age because it encourages independence. This was in the vocabulary, encourage independence, which just basically means to motivate someone to take care of themselves on their own, 2. If parents their children by indulging them all the time, the children will never learn to look after themselves. If you know the vocabulary, it's mollicotto. Mollicotto is just, another word for spoil, pamper, be an overprotective parent. Number 3. No rational parent would try to their children to unnecessary danger. So no rational parent would deliberately try to expose their children to unnecessary danger. Deliberately is just consciously and intentionally do something, so you do it on purpose. And expose in this context is to make someone vulnerable. 4. Children should be encouraged to take, like learning how to use sharp knives. This way they will learn to do things. So, take reasonable risks. When you say something is reasonable, is, within reason and with careful consideration put behind it. So, reasonable risk is something that, while it is risky, it's worth it, and they will learn to do things unsupervised without, someone watching over them. The problem with overprotective parents is that the child doesn't learn to deal with problems they would face in the real world. Here we have a typo, parents is that, but to be overprotective is to just overprotect or to protect someone excessively. And here you just really have to look at the context. 6. The fact that your coffee cup is labeled caution, contents hot, shows that we are living in a society. So, risk averse. When you're risk averse, just basically means you're reluctant to taking risks. And to say that we are living in a risk averse society just means that taking risks is not something that we are encouraged to do as a society. Next, time expressions. Fill the gaps with the expressions that matches the definitions in parentheses. So I'm just gonna look at the parentheses first and then complete the gaps. As far into the future you can imagine or plan for. This is a tricky one because it can be used for 2 time expressions, but in this context, I think these changes will hold up for the foreseeable future. Next, the jewelry box, probably the 70s. Originates or starts in. Dates back to. When we have a date, like this one, is most commonly gonna be dates back or to date back. We're just saying that it originates, it started, it was created in the 70s. So that's why we're going to be using date back. Next, he left the house when the fire alarm went off. Again, just to remind you guys, alarm went off from, the previous exercise. But here, something was very close to happening. So something was about to happen. So he was about to leave the house. Next, the machine was programmed to beep. Happen repeatedly with the same amount of time between each happening. This is gonna be at regular intervals, which again just means exactly what was in the definition. Next, we can expect a large number of disputes about rules being floated, a situation that will continue far into the future. Again, really similar to the foreseeable future, but this is gonna be in years to come. Their definitions are very similar, sometimes presented as the same, so no need to obsess over it if you got it wrong. Next, Lindsay told him from the she wasn't interested, but the guy wouldn't listen. The beginning of something. So, the outset. Outset is, the beginning of something, the start. For example, Lindsay told him from the start that she wasn't interested, and start is the same as the outset. This was the last exercise, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I was able to clear up some doubts. And good luck at the Prova Bimestral.